Don Quixote, by Miguel de Cervantes. Part 1. The Ingenious Knight of La Mancha. In a dusty village in La Mancha, Spain, around the dawn of the 17th century, lived a man named Alonso Quixano, a lean, graying gentleman of about 50. His estate was modest, his days spent hunting or tending his fields, but his true passion lay in books, chivalric romances, tales of knights errant, damsels, and dragons. He devoured them, from Amadis of Gaul to Orlando Furioso, until his mind blurred the line between fiction and truth. One day, seized by a grand delusion, he decided to become a knight himself, to right wrongs and win eternal glory. He polished an old suit of armor, fashioned a pasteboard visor for his rusty helmet, and named his bony horse Rocinante, a steed fit for a hero. He christened himself Don Quixote de la Mancha and chose a peasant woman, Aldonza Lorenzo, as his lady love, renaming her Dulcinea del Toboso, a princess in his mind though he'd barely seen her. With a heart full of dreams, he rode forth, alone, to seek adventure. Part 2. The First Sally. Don Quixote's first journey began at dawn, his armor clanking as Rocinante plodded along. By nightfall, he reached a rundown inn, which he mistook for a castle. The innkeeper, a burly rogue, humored the strange guest, who addressed two prostitutes as noble ladies and demanded a knighting ceremony. Amused, the innkeeper dubbed him Knight of the Sorrowful Countenance for his gaunt, earnest face, and sent him off with bread and blessings. Don Quixote, elated, vowed to serve Dulcinea and uphold chivalry. On the road, he encountered a farmer beating a young shepherd boy, Andres, for losing sheep. Don Quixote, brandishing his lance, ordered the farmer to stop, declaring himself a defender of the oppressed. The farmer swore to pay Andres fairly, but as soon as the knight rode off, he beat the boy worse. Don Quixote, oblivious, counted it a victory. Next, he met a group of merchants traveling to Murcia. Demanding they swear Dulcinea's beauty surpassed all others, he grew furious when they mocked him. Charging, he fell from Rocinante, and a muleteer thrashed him, leaving him bruised in the dust. A neighbor found him and carried him home, where his housekeeper and niece fretted over his madness. Part 3. The Birth of Sancho Panza. At home, Don Quixote's friends, a priest and a barber, burned most of his books, blaming them for his lunacy, and walled up his library, claiming it vanished by enchantment. Undeterred, Don Quixote prepared a second sally, this time recruiting a neighbor, Sancho Panza, a stout, illiterate peasant with a love of proverbs and a hankering for reward. Don Quixote promised him governorship of an island, and Sancho, half believing, saddled his donkey Dapple and followed. Their first adventure came at a plain dotted with windmills. Don Quixote, mistaking them for giants, charged with his lance, shouting, "Non fuides cobards!" The sails caught him, shattering his lance and tossing him to the ground. "They were windmills," Sancho said, scratching his head. "Enchanted giants," Don Quixote insisted, blaming the sage Freston, his imagined nemesis. Next, they met two Benedictine monks and a lady in a carriage. Don Quixote, convinced the monks were kidnappers, attacked, knocking one down. Sancho rifled the monks' belongings, earning a beating from the lady's squires. The knight, undaunted, declared the lady freed, though she fled in terror. That night, under a full moon, Don Quixote stood vigil over his armor, guarding it from a muleteer who tried to move it. A brawl ensued, and the innkeeper begged them to leave. Part 4. Adventures and Misadventures. The pair's journey grew stranger. They encountered a group of Yanguizan muleteers, whose Mares Rocinante tried to woo. When the muleteers beat the horse, Don Quixote and Sancho fought back, only to be pummeled. Nursing their wounds, Don Quixote concocted a balsam of firebrass, a foul potion that left them retching but, he claimed, healed them. Sancho grumbled, but his master's fervor kept him loyal. At a crossroads, they met a goatherd who told of a madman Cardenio haunting the Sierra Morena. Don Quixote, inspired, decided to imitate Amadis's penance, sending Sancho with a love letter for Dulcinea. In Toboso, Sancho found no princess, only Aldonza, a coarse woman hauling water. Returning, he lied, claiming Dulcinea sent her regards. Meanwhile, Don Quixote, half-naked, performed mad penance in the mountains, carving love poems into trees. The priest and barber, searching for Don Quixote, found him with Cardenio, who told a tale of betrayed love for Lucinda, stolen by his friend Don Fernando. Their story intertwined with that of Dorotea, a maiden wronged by Fernando, who posed as Princess Mycona to lure Don Quixote home. She begged him to slay a giant in her kingdom, and he agreed, unaware it was a ruse. At an inn, the group reunited, and Fernando, repentant, restored Lucinda to Cardenio and pledged to marry Dorotea. Don Quixote, believing the inn enchanted, fought a wineskin he mistook for a giant, flooding the room with red wine. Part 5. The Cage and the Return. The priest and barber, desperate to cure Don Quixote, tricked him into a wooden cage, claiming it was enchanted transport. Sancho, torn between loyalty and doubt, followed as they carted the knight home. Villagers mocked the caged knight, but Don Quixote proclaimed his destiny undimmed. Back in La Mancha, his niece and housekeeper nursed him, and he sank into a deep sleep, his madness seemingly subdued. Weeks later, Don Quixote rose, his fervor rekindled. Ignoring pleas, he and Sancho set out again, their fame now spreading. In a forest, they met the Knight of the Green Cloak, Don Diego de Miranda, a sensible gentleman who marveled at Don Quixote's blend of wisdom and madness. Later, they joined a wedding feast where Don Quixote debated chivalry with a scholar, Basilio, who tricked his rival to win his bride, Camacho. Don Quixote praised the ruse, seeing it as knightly cunning. Part 6. The Dukedom and Deceptions. Their adventures peaked when a duke and duchess, amused by tales of Don Quixote, invited them to their castle. The nobles staged elaborate pranks, convincing Don Quixote he rode a flying horse, Clavelino, to battle an enchanter. They appointed Sancho governor of Barataria, a mock island. Sancho, to everyone's surprise, ruled wisely, settling disputes with peasant cunning, but he soon tired of the charade and rejoined his master. The duo faced new challenges. Don Quixote met the Knight of the White Moon, a disguised bachelor, Sanson Carrasco, sent to defeat him and force him home. In a duel on a Barcelona beach, Don Quixote fell, his lance broken. The victor demanded he abandon knighthood for a year. Heartbroken but honorable, Don Quixote agreed, his spirit crushed. As they returned to La Mancha, he fell ill, his body frail from endless quests. Part 7. The Final Awakening. In his village, Don Quixote's fever broke, and with it his madness. He awoke as Alonso Quixano, his mind clear, his dreams of knighthood dissolved. "I was Don Quixote," he said, "but I am no more." To Sancho, weeping at his side, he confessed his folly, urging his friend to seek truth, not fantasy. He dictated his will, leaving his meager estate to his niece, with a portion for Sancho's loyalty. Surrounded by friends, he spoke of Dulcinea, not as a princess, but as Aldonza, a woman he loved in error yet sincerely. With a sigh, he died, his face peaceful, a man reconciled with reality. Sancho, bereft, returned to his fields, Dapple at his side. He told his children tales of their adventures, half believing the island might still exist. The village remembered Don Quixote not as a madman, but as a dreamer whose heart, though misguided, sought to make the world noble. His story spread, a testament to the power of ideals, however flawed, and the bond between a knight and his squire.